muy de una ciudad de Fine. So, Shibata-san, Hina-san. So could you tell me what you know about Constitution? You can say in Japanese. So because as I told you, this class is not English class, so I think you are expected to use English, but I'm not the English teacher, so you can say in Japanese and I'll translate it in English. But I do want you to review the content after the class, and then if I ask you the same question, say tomorrow, day after tomorrow, you have to answer in English. So yeah, it's okay. So what's Constitution? So it's what government decides, isn't it? Really? Yeah. 国が決める。It's not easy question. So, 憲法. So which is superior? So which has higher authority, constitutional and statutory laws. So when both of them collide, so which is considered to be more important? So yeah. So which is higher, superior? Yes, exactly. So constitutional law is more important than statutory laws. So why? Why? So if you're correct, so if statutes, so ordinary laws that enacted by Parliament, so Parliament. Sorry, I was spelling Parliament. With R here. Yes. Okay. So only you can say so. We have the direct in Parliament in Japan. So there are many ways to say it. So in the United States Congress. So these are so type. So a group of people who are elected, who are chosen by people. So if say Parliament makes a statute that violates constitutional law, then it's invalid. So it's declared unconstitutional. So we cannot make laws that are against constitution. Do you understand? So if Parliament makes a law that limits your freedom of speech or freedom of religion, or if it's like you have to work for government for free, then it's unconstitutional. So what I want to say, the Constitution is superior to statutory law. So it's basic rule. So it's more basic and more foundational, fundamental. So according to the Cambridge Dictionary, so Constitution is the set of political principles. So principles can by which a state state in this case is queen. So state like Japan or Belgium. So state or organization is governed especially in relation to rights of the people. It governs. So it's not easy to understand, but so what it says is the constitutional law is about how the government is structured. So what the government looks like in plain English. So for instance, we have the emperor in Japan. So the Japanese constitution says you have emperor, and Belgian constitution says you have king, right? The king, and we have parliament, we have court, and we have prime minister, and so on. So how the government is structured, and also about what the government can do and cannot do. So the Japanese constitution says we cannot have laws that limit your freedom of speech, freedom of speech, 言論の自由, and freedom of religion and other basic rights. So it's about what government can do and cannot do. So the government cannot violate people's rights, and also what the government must do. So it's in pretty differently. So it's the promise of the government to its people, and commitment. So we have to have a policy that is written in the constitution. It's a promise. So if the government does not keep the promise, then the court or the people can maybe throw away the government. Okay, possibly. Okay, so we have have you ever taken a class? Have you learned about Belgian constitution?
Yeah.
In high school or in elementary school?
No, in university.
In university, okay. Good. So this is Belgium, that's a part of the Belgian constitution. So it's English translation. Oh, so quick question for Japanese guys. So what languages are used in Belgium? So what are the official languages? French, Dutch, French? Dutch? Dutch. I'm not an expert about this topic, but anyway, so French. So that it's a Belgian like this, and so French in the south, and Dutch, and another one. So this is German. You know very well. So German. So Zoe, are you from here or?
Just at.
Oh, so that's Brussels. Huh?
Yeah, that's
Brussels.
Brussels. I live just next to German.
Oh, around here.
Yeah.
Okay. So you speak French,
Yeah.
and so what language do you use to communicate with people, Dutch speaking people?
I have Dutch classes, so I can speak Dutch a little bit,
Oh.
but I usually speak English.
English, okay. So that's why you speak English there.
But we don't talk very much with
Yeah.
people from the north.
Yeah, okay. So now you see, so Japan is it's a relatively homogeneous society, so, so it's hard to find people who don't speak Japanese, and it's also hard to find people who speak English. So that's,
We learn how to speak Dutch, but it's a difficult language, so it's a bit difficult to learn how to speak. So I can write, but I can't speak.
Okay, yeah. French and Dutch are quite different languages. Yeah, I see. So you should have, your constitution should be written both in French and Dutch, right? So isn't it difficult to, it's hard to imagine what it's like to live in a country who don't share the same language.
I don't know how to explain, because everyone speaks English in Belgium and in Europe, so we can speak English with them, and so we just speak English with them, but they learn how to speak French, and we learn how to speak Dutch, but it's two difficult languages, so it's that why we speak English.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And I have some friends who speak German.
German. Yeah. So these people are, very minority people here. So.
But I just live between French and German, just where you draw the line. I live just here.
Okay.
So I have.
And you're studying in Brussels. How is it? Where is it?
It's where
yeah.
I live near.
Okay. So going back to my question. So the constitution is about the commitment, so government commitment to people. And so first we look at Japanese constitution. So the social policy is the most related to this Article 25. So all people shall have the right to maintain the minimum standards of wholesome and cultured living. It's abstract. It doesn't say any specific things, but it says that, as long as you are a Japanese citizen, you can at least have a decent life. So if you are in poverty, it's government's responsibility to help you. So that's why we have Seikatsuho. In Japan. So we cannot abolish Seikatsuho because we have this constitution that requires government to provide people, provide Seikatsuho to its citizens. Right? I see. And in all spheres of life, the state shall use its endeavors for the promotion and extension of social welfare and security and of public health. So this Article 25 is a constitutional basis of the social security system in Japan. Right? So, so when was the Japanese constitution adopted? So when was it made? I actually forgot the specific year. So
1945.
1945. You can Google so Nihongo Kenpo. So can you look it up in? Is it? Yes. Yeah.
46?
Google. You should Google. 次多分いうのにハビタイタクセス。
パソコンで Google で
ああ。
いつ思考力のことにですね。
1947. So the current Japanese constitution was adopted in 1947. So after what? After what? Yeah, after World War II. So Japan was defeated by the United States, and the constitution was adopted under the U.S. Occupation. But so these ideas are very new. But in the 20th century, we made this constitution. So now, we come to Belgian constitution. So Article 23. So that everyone has a right to lead a life in keeping with human dignity. To this end, the laws, federal laws and rules referred to in Article 1 and 134 guarantee economic, social, and cultural rights, taking into account corresponding obligations and determines the conditions for exercising them. These rights include, among others, the right to employment and to the free choice of an occupation within the context of a general employment policy aimed, among others, at ensuring a level of employment that is as stable as high as possible, the right to fair terms of employment and to fair remuneration is it? So this is Hoshu in Japanese, Hoshu. So like wage, in simple English, wage, money. So as well as information, right to information, consultation, and collective negotiation. The right to social security, to health care, and to social, medical, and legal aid. The right to decent accommodation. So what's accommodation? Have you ever heard a term accommodation? So you study so when you study abroad, you must know the term accommodation. Because if you don't know this term, then you will be in trouble. From education. So it's nice. So the place you live in, so decent accommodation. So you will not be a homeless in Belgium, at least on paper. I don't know how it works, but you have the right, the constitutional right to decent accommodation, and you have the right to the protection of a healthy environment, the right to cultural and social fulfillment. So I'm not expert in Belgian constitution, so it's not clear to me what the right to cultural and social fulfillment specifically means. So what?
I don't know what fulfillment means.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I think it's just the fact that we have the right to have a good cultural and social life.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. So you have a cultural life. So you have rich culturally rich life, and you have the right to family allowance. Family allowance. The allowance. You don't. I think you don't. Usually use this term. So it's called kyate in Japan. Like jidoken. So a certain amount of money you receive from the government. So kazoku kyate. So it's really interesting to me that family allowance. So it's very specific policy is written in the constitution. So the fact that family allowances are written in the constitution shows that Belgian people really believe that family allowance is very important for them. So if otherwise, if they think it's trivial, then they don't write it into the constitution. It's the most basic rule of the state. So we don't have any specific policy items like family allowances or accommodation in Japanese constitution because it's new, but it's not so new. So 1947. So at the time, people in the mid 20th century didn't think family allowances are so important. So that's why we don't have any constitutional articles about these things. But in Belgium, they have this article 23. So when was the Belgian constitution ratified, adopted? Yeah, I just did a quick research. I don't know, but it was surprising to me.
I don't know.
It's like 1831 around.
Maybe.
So it's really old. It's really old. So in 1831, so Japan was governed by Shogun Edo Tokugawa Shogun. But this article 23 was definitely not made in 1831. The idea is so new, right? So based on my Google research, the article 23 was introduced in 1994. So it's really new concept. But a lot of countries, a lot of developed countries like Japan and Belgium have a constitution that demands that require the government to provide social security to its people. Right. So in Japan we have Article 25 that says Japanese citizens have the right to maintain a minimum standard of living, and the Belgian constitution says more. The government has to provide more specific health insurance, medical care, legal aid, and also accommodation, and family allowances. So the next question is, which country is exceptional in this regard? So there's one country, at least one country that does not have this kind of constitution. So do you have any ideas? Right, United States. So you really know well. The United States Constitution. If you look at American Constitution, there's nothing about this social policy. Yeah, the U.S. Constitution is also very old. It was enacted in the 18th century. So it's one of the oldest constitution in the world. And I think United States is a good country. I think you should definitely visit the US. But if you are poor, if you are in poverty, and then I think you don't want to live in the United States because it's really hard for poor people to have a decent life in the US. And there's no commitment, so there's no governmental commitment to help people who are in trouble. So the United States is really exceptional in this regard. But most other developed countries like Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan, and European countries, I think most of them have a constitution like this that that says citizens have a certain inalienable rights, certain fundamental rights to those social protections. Okay. So Japan in 1947. So my next question is, so which constitution was the first in specifically which constitution was the first one that stipulates that the government has to do something like this? So I think you must have learned this in high school. In world history. No. Germany. Wait, do you know?
I'm not. The question.
The question was, so these things are called social rights. So the U.S. constitutions declare that people in the United States have certain rights. Right, freedom from government. Right? So freedom of speech, freedom of religion, those are freedom from government. But social rights, like family allowances, are different in that governments should do something. Governments have an active role in providing protections to its citizens. So that's called social rights. And the world's first constitution that explicitly declares that government should do these things. So she said Germany is correct. So 1919. So why? So Weimar Republic in 1919 is known to be the first one, first kind of first these constitutions. But as you know, Weimar Republic was destroyed by Nazis, so Hitler after 1920, 1930s. So, but the idea like this. It first introduced the Weimar Constitution in 1919 and it spread to other countries, to Japan and to other European countries, but not to the United States. Okay, so now, in the 20th century, 21st century Japan, we have a constitution that says the government should do these things. So before that, before 19th century, there was no such social rights. So how did people manage to survive before these welfare states were created? So that's a topic discussed in chapter 2 and 3 of the textbook. So I'm gonna turn to these issues. Before week 5. It's interesting. So I should learn world history more to know avoid such situation.
But
Right.
in Brussels, everyone speaks the three languages.
And Brussels has Brussels is the center of Europe, right? So
The
they
center of
have European Union and NATO. All headquarters are located here. I want to visit there, but I've never been there. So someday. Okay. Yeah, we can, and so it's not easy to change constitution. It's not easy to amend. But it's not impossible, right? So in Belgium, so they amended constitution several times, at least in 1994 and 2021. In Japan, we have never amended. But I think there's no debate about Article 25. So there's no one, no one, not no one, but there are very few people who want to change Article 25 because, I think most people think this is important, human rights in Japan. And it's not always clear whether, say, so you are a Japanese citizen and you live in Japan, the Japanese government has to provide protection to you, but it's not clear whether the government is required to provide protection to non-citizens like Zoe. So, right. So if you and the other, it's also true that if you are Japanese citizen living in Belgium, do they have the obligation? Are they required to give you protections that Belgian people have? So it's not always clear, right? Some people think that it's our responsibility as human beings to provide protections to everyone, regardless of citizenship, right? Like refugees from Africa or maybe immigrants from poor countries. Maybe some people believe that it's not social rights are not rights of citizens, but rights of human beings. But some people do not agree, right? So in Japan, so people complain that non-citizens receive benefits from the government and use our tax money. So some people don't like it, but so it's controversial issue, right? But for now, so it's put aside the issue. So if you're a Japanese citizen, then you have a right and some certain rights to receive benefits that are required by the Constitution. So the government has to do it. Okay. So I'm gonna talk about more specific policies that we have today in Japan. And I will go back to this textbook in the week 4 to 5. So I think most of you are familiar with the topic I'm gonna talk because I taught similar things in your freshman class in Japanese. But I think it's a good opportunity for you to learn how to explain this complicated system in English, right? So if you visit foreign country and if you ask what kind of social security system do you have in Japan, so you can you can use it. But it's not easy to understand. It's very complicated. So even in Japanese, I think you don't understand many of the things I explained. So anyway. So, so this slide is actually, I created this slide to use for Taiwanese students, college students in Taiwan. So they study social security in Taiwan, and they have guest lecturers like me to explain things in other countries. Okay, so first I'm gonna explain the retirement security in Japan. So we have, it's not only in Japan, so in many countries, when you think about retirement income, we usually think of these three pillars, so three components. The first one is minimum publicly funded pension system. So we have national pension system in Japan, so Kokumin Nenkin, right? So how old are you now? 20. So you have already started paying into the system, right? So Zoe, so you in Belgium, so do you have any public pension system?
Yeah.
So how old? So what is the age that of the I mean, how old are you? Do you start paying into the system? So in Japan, people in the 20 years old start to pay into the pension system. So they have to pay contributions to the pension system starting at age 20. So in Belgium,
I think we start to pay that when we got our first job.
oh, okay.
I think it's that.
Okay, so after you graduate from college, you have a stable income, then you start to pay into the system.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
I
it
think
goes.
it's
Okay. Good. But in that case, so if you don't have any jobs, so how would you?
So if you don't have job, you have an unemployment payment. So it's like you receive money. So it's like when you have a job but you are not working. So whether you work or when you receive an unemployment payment, you start to pay.
Okay. So anyway, you start paying to the system after you get a job. Okay. So the first pillar is minimum, so public pension plans that cover every citizen in Japan, and the second one is occupational pillar, which exists for some people, and some people do have, and some people don't have the pension. So we have Kousei Nenkin Hoken, which is employees pension insurance system, and also we have private pensions, so corporate pensions. So corporate pensions are also not for everyone. So some people have corporate pensions and some people don't. And the third one, the last pillar is personal savings. So lately in Japan, so the government has been promoting private pension called IDECO, so individual defined contribution pension. So this one has been getting more and more important in recent years because these two pillars are not working well. So the government is now promoting the last one. So the government wants you to use this individual defined contribution pension. Okay. So as I explained last year, after you turn 20 years old, you have to, if you live in Japan, you have to pay contribution into the national pension system. Okay, so if you're, so I'm going to stick this. So if you're a student, you are category 1 insured persons. Now, so I think most of you are here. So you are in national pension system, and you pay like, how much is the contribution? Do you know how much you have to pay monthly for community? 10,000. So 60,000 you receive. 5.
Maybe.
Mm,
16.
6. 16. So, you're saying, okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, around that amount. So I think it's right. So it's about yes, right. You have to pay about $100 a month when you turn 20 years old. It's not small amount like for students like you. But students are allowed to delay paying contribution until you get a job. So it's the same in Belgium, right? So if you're a student, you don't have any income, you can pay $100 a month. So it's you are allowed to delay payment until you get a job. But if you have income, then you have to pay $100 a month for the national pension system, and for 40 years until you turn 60 years old. So 40 years, every month you have to pay $100. It's not small. So you're here, and if you are employed, so after you graduate from college, maybe some people start a business by yourself. Then you stay here, so you only have national pension. But you are hired by a company or by someone, and you are under control of someone else. So then you have employees' pension insurance in addition to national pension, right? So it's called Seniki. So this system is two-layer system. So for some people, they only have one, the first tier, and if you are employed, then you are covered by employees' pension insurance system. So it's not for everyone. It's only for people who are hired by a company, and you pay, additional contribution from your salary. And also public servants, so the people who are hired by governments also here, like private employees. And the controversial and very difficult to explain category is here. Category is not category 2, category 3. So dependent spouses of category 2 insured persons. It's not something that I can explain easily. So if you get married and you don't have a job, but your spouse, your husband or wife, if your husband or wife is employed persons and you don't have a job, you are in category 3. But I'm going to skip this because it's too complicated. So what I want to emphasize is Japan have a divided system. So national pension covers everyone, but employees' pension insurance covers only those who are employed. Okay. And the pension system is very important in contemporary Japan because, as you see, most elderly people totally depend on the pension benefits for their living. So in 2017, it's not so new information. I have to revise the data. In 2017, about half of the elderly people totally depended on the pension benefits. So if they lose pension benefits, they don't have any other income. So it's not a good situation, but anyways, it shows that pension is very important. Okay, so how much money do you receive after you get old? So if you only have basic pension, so if you are self-employed people who have their own business, so those who are not employed and like freelance, so those people only have basic pension, and the amount of benefits is the same for everyone. So if you pay contributions for 40 years and you receive 66,000 about to 66,000 yen. So it's about 500 US dollars per month. So you cannot live only with this money, but you can at least receive this amount of money in 2023. But you have to pay contributions for 40 years. So if you pay contributions for only 20 years, then the amount of money you receive will be half that money, half that amount. Okay. And so if you are hired by a company, so after you graduate from college, you may find a job in private companies, then you will be covered by employees' pension insurance, and the amount of money you can receive depends on how much you earn and how long you pay the contributions. Okay, so the more money the more salary you receive, the more you can receive as a pension benefits after you retire. Okay. So if your wage is low, you will have fewer amount of benefits after you retire. And also, if you work like 40 years, then you will receive the double, the twice more than people who work only 20 years. So it depends on how long you work. Okay. So in 2019, so it shows this graph shows how much actually, so how the current elderly people receive the pension benefits. So it shows that male and female, there's a clear gender gap. So males receive in average 160,000 yen per month, so which is about $1,000 a month, right? US dollar, 1,000. Yeah. Yes, $1,000 a month. And female elderly people receive on average about $1,000 a month. And also the starting age, so you can receive benefits at the age of 65 for now in 2023, but you can delay the starting months. So if you defer the payment starting months, you can receive more benefits per month. So if you can basically you can receive benefits at the age of 65, but maybe you continue to work after the age of 65, you don't retire and you continue to work and you don't have to receive pension benefits, and you can delay the starting months. And then you will receive more benefits per month. So suppose you receive benefits at the age of 70, then you will receive about 1.4 times more monthly benefits than those who start to receive benefits at the age of 65. Okay. And you can also receive money before you turn 65. You can start to receive benefits at the age of 60, but then you receive about 70% amount than those who start to receive benefits at the age of 65. So you can choose the starting age depending on your situation. So you want to retire earlier, then you can start to receive benefits when you are young, but then monthly benefits will be smaller. That's how it works, right? Okay. And the problem we have today is that the pension system is not in good health, like in many other countries. So like in France, they had riots in the spring this year over pension reform. Right? So the government of France thinks that there's something wrong with the pension system and they want to reform the system. But workers not happy about it, and they did a big demonstration in the spring this year. So in Japan, so there are a lot of problems, similar problems. So we have pay-as-you-go system, so which is the money you pay into the system today is not used for you, like 40 years later from now, 40 years from now. The money you pay is used for the current elderly people, like 60 years old, 70 years old, 80 years old. That's called pay-as-you-go system. So you pay money, and then the money is used for the current elderly people. And your pension benefits will come from future generation, right? So after, when you turn 65, it's 45 years from now. And it's not clear whether you can receive benefits because the money you're going to receive does not exist today, right? So you receive benefits from the money the future young generation pay into the system. So that's pay-as-you-go system. But as we all know, we have a fertility rate problem. So it's a population pyramid in Japan. So as you can see, so in 1965, the pyramid was really beautiful shape. So it's triangle. Just so few old people and a lot of young people. And so a lot of young people can pay small amount of contributions to support small number of elderly people in 1965. But today, so we have fewer and fewer children and more elderly people in 2023. So it looks like this. So population aging is a huge problem in Japan. So Zoe, in Belgium, so do you have any similar yeah?
I think we have the same problem.
Right, so more and more elderly people, less and fewer young people, and the pension system is structured as a pay-as-you-go system. So as you can see, the left side is the money collected from people, and the right-hand side is the money given to elderly people, right? So you have to keep this equation. And so now we have fewer children. So the number of insured persons is becoming smaller. And while the number of pensioners, so those who receive pensions, the number of those people is getting bigger and bigger. So in order to keep this equation, you have to increase pension premium. So you have to pay more. You have to pay more contribution into the system per month. So now $100 a month, but maybe you have to pay more to maintain this system. Or maybe we have to decrease average payment. So the monthly pension benefits. Otherwise, we cannot maintain this system, right? It's not so difficult. It's very easy. Or maybe you can increase the number of insured persons. So how can you increase young people? maybe you have to encourage people to have more babies. It's not that easy. It's not. Or maybe you can have more immigrants. But as you see, Japan is really strict. Japan has a really strict immigration policy. So it's not easy for foreign people to come and live in Japan as a Japanese citizen, right? So in Belgium, so do you have immigration, controversy over immigration policy? No?
I don't know much about immigration policy, but I know we have a lot of immigrated people in Belgium, so it's a problem in the country.
So where are those people from? So in Belgium, so
A bit from everywhere.
everywhere.
But mostly from Africa.
Africa. Yeah. So because Japan is a isolated island country, it's not easy for people to come to Japan and immigrants. But if you wanna solve this problem, maybe you have to have more immigrants to support the social security system, because we have fewer and fewer children and we want to maintain this system. Then there are several choices. Maybe we can increase the contribution, or maybe we can decrease benefits, or encourage people to have more children, or maybe there's another alternative, which is to decrease the number of pensioners. So how can you decrease the number of people who receive pension benefits? So that's what the French government tried to do this year.
Delay
So yeah, right.
age of pension.
Yeah, exactly. So now in Japan, you can receive benefits at the age of 65. So here, so orange color, so red color people can receive benefits. But if you delay the starting age to say 70 or 75 years old, then the number of people who can receive benefits will be smaller. So the French government tried to do that, but a lot of people are really mad at the reform plan. Okay? So are you following me? Can you answer? So, but anyway, we have to do that at some point. Maybe so that we are now living longer and longer. So the average, the longevity, average age of your death. I don't know. I forgot how to say that. So longevity is the word here. So people are now getting healthier. Old people can work longer, and more people survive after 80, 90 years old. Then we have to do something to maintain this pension system. Otherwise, it will go bankrupt. Financially, it's impossible to keep this equation. Okay, so the Japanese government did some reform attempt in 2004, which is to fix the contribution, so at 18.3% of your salary. So now you earn, like say, $10,000, you have to pay $180 for the pension system. So it's huge, but because we have more older people, it could be more if the government didn't make this before. So in 2004, the government determined that the contribution will not be higher than 18.3%. But in order to keep this equation, so the average pay premium will not go higher, because young people are really suffering from suffering financially. If you have to pay a quarter of their salary into the system, then they cannot have a decent life. So the contribution is fixed at this level. Then the benefits have to be smaller, right? So now your grandparents receive, say, 66,000, say $100 per month. Then you will receive less benefits in the future, because when you turn 65, then the population pyramid will be like this. Okay? And in order to maintain the pension system, your benefits will be much smaller. So that's what this graph shows. And it depends on how long people will live and how many babies will be born and how the Japanese economy gets better or gets worse. It depends on the future scenario. So in the worst case, you will receive, say, 30% less benefits in the future. And if everything goes fine, then you will receive less benefits than those who receive the benefits today. It's not an optimistic story, but we have to do some kind of reform. Okay, I'm gonna skip this. It's very complicated, and I don't want to confuse you. Okay, so and also there are third layer pensions. So far I talked about this two-layer system. Okay, so the first layer is national pension for everyone and employees pension insurance for those who are hired by a company. And for some people, there are additional pensions. Okay, so the government is now trying to encourage people to make a financial plan by themselves. So the government wants you to utilize this individual defined contribution pension so that you can save money for the future by yourself, not depend on the government, but by yourself. You have to do something to prepare for the life after you retire. Okay, so I'm gonna turn to healthcare system in Japan. So in Japan today, all of you must have some kind of public health insurance. So I'm covered by health insurance for those who are working in private schools. And it depends on your parents' employment status. But I have to say that whether your parents are working or not, maybe they have their own business, but still you must have a public health insurance in Japan today. Okay, so since 1961, all citizens are required to have public health insurance. And non-Japanese residents in Japan. So Zoe, do you have any? So Zoe is non-Japanese resident in Japan, so she has a health insurance while you are staying in Japan. And actually, so I made this slide for Taiwan students. So Taiwan has a single-payer healthcare system, which is so everyone is covered by the same healthcare system. So everyone has the same health insurance. But in Japan, we have different health insurance depending on your employment status and your job, your occupation. So Zoe, in Belgium, do you have a single-payer system, or do you have a divided system like Japan? So your health insurance in Belgium is the same as your friends, or is it different from your?
Oh, it's different from my friend. Everyone is different. You can cover more thing or less thing. It's like a package.
Okay, so you can choose.
You can choose. Yeah.
Is it provided by the government or by employers, or your parents' employers?
It depends too.
Oh, depends.
You can have by my parents' employees, but I can have it from the government. It depends. You can do a bit whatever you want. So.
Okay. So it means that Belgium do not have a single payer system, so they have many options. Okay. So in Japan, we have divided system. So depending on your occupation, you have different health insurance. But still, all of them are covered by public health insurance. again, the United States is really quite different from this one. So the United States do not have universal health coverage. So some people in the US do not have health insurance at all, right? It's not the case in Japan or in Belgium. Okay. But so, as I explained last year, so your health insurance is different from your friends, but benefit packages are essentially the same. So I think this part is different from your story in Belgium. So people are covered by different health insurance, but the benefits are basically the same in Japan. Whatever insurance you have. Okay. But the premium rate could vary depending on your insurance plans. So people pay more contributions or less contributions. So it depends on your health insurance. The average is about 10% of your salary. So, if you are employed by small companies, then you are likely to be covered by employer-based health insurance, Japan Health Insurance Association health insurance. And if you work for a big company, then you are likely to be covered by health insurance society. So there are about 1,400, so 1,400 health insurance societies in Japan. And if you are working for a big company like Toyota, then you are covered by health insurance provided by Toyota. And if you work for a small company, then you will have health insurance of the Japan Health Insurance Association. And if you are self-employed person, so if you have your own business, like if you have a shop or if you have a company, then you are covered by national health insurance, so which is a residence-based insurance. Okay. And if you are 75 years old or older, then you will be covered by health insurance for person 75 or older. I don't know how to say in English. So very old people have a separate health insurance. So look at this figure. So first, you are covered by national health insurance. So everyone living in Japan are basically covered by national health insurance. And some people are exempted from the system. So if you have a job, so if you are employed by a company, then you will be covered by employer-based health insurance. And if you turn 75 years old, then you will be covered by health insurance for the elderly people. But anyway, it's not impossible for you to have no public health insurance in Japan. So as long as you live in Japan, you are required by law to be covered by this one or this one or this one. Okay. So, my question to you. So, Shuma-san, Ishiki, Shuma, so which health insurance do you have now? Oh, so national health insurance or employer-based health insurance? So you have a health insurance card, right? National health insurance. Okay. So probably your parents have their own business, right? Or maybe I don't know. I shouldn't ask you about it. So I think most of you are college students, and so all of you are college students. So you do not have any income, or your own income. So you are dependent on your parents or your family members, and I think you don't pay your contribution by yourselves. Then if your parents are hired by a company, then you are likely to be covered by the first one, employer-based health insurance. And if your family has their own business, then you'll be covered by national health insurance. Okay. So so in my case, I'm now hired by Kyorin University. So my health insurance is this. It's actually it's not the same, but in this category. So if I quit my job and if I work as an independent researcher, then I will move to this category, national health insurance. But the benefits are the same, so it doesn't matter actually. It doesn't matter which pension, which health insurance you have. But if you move from one category to another, then your health insurance change. And if you turn 75, you will be in this category. So you are now covered by separate system. Okay. So why do we have a distinct separate system for very old people? So the third category, so 75 years and older people have a different health insurance system from those for young people. Because elderly people are more likely to have illness and they are less likely to have stable income. So those people are high risk population. So they have, if they have to join this one or this one, they are likely to be covered by national health insurance because they are likely to have no jobs, right? They are more likely to be retired. So in that case, it's not easy for national health insurance to support the large number of elderly people. So in 2008, the Japanese government created a separate health insurance system for people who are 75 and older, so that national health insurance do not bear a burden, so that are not sustainable burden. So since 2008, we have a separate system for the very elderly people. Before that, elderly people are required to be covered by national health insurance, but because we have more and more elderly people, it's not financially feasible for the national health insurance to support the growing number of old people. Okay. And lastly, we have long-term care insurance for the elderly. It was introduced in 2000, so it's the newest social insurance in Japan. So as I told you, so we have more and more elderly people, and they are more likely to have a physical and mental cognitive difficulties, and we have to have a system that could support the growing number of elderly people. So that's why we introduced the long-term care insurance in 2000. So before that, we did have a certain number of elderly people, and how did they receive support? So there are two different systems. So one of them is health insurance, and another one is welfare, social welfare services. But because these two systems are different in their purpose, we had a lot of difficulties coordinating the service for the elderly people. So the long-term care was introduced to reduce the burden of health insurance, and also to secure stable revenue for the long-term care services. So now you are not covered by long-term care insurance because people over age 40, people over 40 years old are required to join the system. So I think you are under 40 years old and you don't pay any contributions. But I think your parents and grandparents are required to pay into the system, so pay into the long-term care insurance. And after you turn 65 and you have disabilities or you have cognitive issues, then you can receive the benefits from this public long-term care insurance. Okay. So we are running out of time, so it's a complicated system, but okay. I think you are familiar with this thing, so yeah, we have to finish today's class. Yes, so Zoe, could you look up your similar system in Belgium, so health insurance, pension, and long-term care, and if you can share your information, then I would really appreciate it. So to Belgium, do you have any long-term care insurance in Belgium?
Insurance in Belgium is a lot different from the one in Japan, so it's a bit difficult for me to explain that we don't have public long-term care insurance, but we have like life insurance policy and things like that.
Life insurance for what?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's difficult to explain.
Actually, the Japanese long-term care insurance is so we learned from German system in 1990s and 2000. So Germany had a similar long-term care system. So maybe Belgium has maybe not. I don't know, but yeah. So at least I can say that Japanese system is a kind of I don't know, imitation in some sense, imitation of the German system. Okay, so that's it today. So next week I'm gonna talk about a very different issue, a very different topic, the 2024 presidential election in the United States. And in the week 4, I'm going to go back to this textbook. So I want you to read chapter 1 and, if possible, chapter 2 by the week 4. And if there are words and phrases that you are not familiar with, then I want you to look them up in dictionary so that you can understand what I'm talking. Okay?
How many chapters do we need to read?
Oh, chapter 1 and chapter 2. For now, by the week 4. Because next week I'm going to talk about other topics. And in week 4, I'm going to turn to this textbook and start to explain the materials written here. Okay. So, that's it today.